I'm sure that every law student has heard of the movie Legally Blonde, or more specifically, its protagonist, Elle Woods.
I feel comfortable using legal jargon in everyday life.
She has a super fun and girly personality and is famous for transitioning from fashion school to law school just to prove her ex wrong. What if I told you that I actually embodied her characteristics during my first year studying law at university? I'm sure the results will probably surprise you. I have broken down her study habits into 5 chapters for you to navigate easily. Her immersive preparation, her group learning strategies, her creative visual and active learning techniques, her practical application of the law, and finally, her incredible discipline and consistency when studying all those late night library sessions. I'm going to show you how you can transform your study habits by channeling a blend of confidence, positivity, and strategy. Immersive preparation. So Elle Woods goes straight from fashion school to law school, but firstly she has to complete the intense LNAP test. We see that at the start of the movie with that cutscene when all her friends are helping her study, she's doing late night sessions. She does it in a couple of weeks as well and gets one of the highest scores. For me, before university even began, I felt incredibly nervous. I was the first in my family to go. I had never studied law before and I had no connections to the legal world either. So I was feeling quite overwhelmed and a bit of an imposter. So I tried to use Elle Woods' mindset to put myself at ease before starting university. In practice, this meant that I started my reading list during the summer before the semester started. So this was me sort of taking on the immense preparation element of Elle Woods' study habits. I started my reading list, which meant that when I started my lectures, I already gave myself a head start. It wasn't learning something for the first time, but it was actually a recap. This meant that I started uni feeling incredibly confident, and that was all down to immense preparation beforehand. Group learning. In the movie, we see multiple scenes when Elle Woods is in the library studying with a group of friends or different people on her course.
No way!
We also see lots of different scenes when she's in a lecture and she's talking to people in groups and she's participating in lessons by giving answers.
A legal education.
Though a lot of the time it seems like she's an outsider in the movie when a lot of people don't respect her and don't take her seriously. Like I said, I also felt a bit of an outsider myself, having no previous connections or anything to law. And so I truly embodied Elle Woods by going to every single in-person group tutorial that I had. And I didn't just go to them, I actively participated. So what was the result? Well, I actually got most of the questions wrong. I remember time after time being asked a question, what case would you use, what statute applies here, or what's the legal question? I would always force myself to answer because I knew that I probably would get the wrong answer. But the embarrassment of getting told I was wrong in front of a whole group of people meant that I remembered it was wrong, and so when it came to the exam, I always got the right answer. In Legally Blonde, Elle Woods also eventually befriends a lot of people on her course. By attending all of my lessons actually in person and not just watching them online, I met my closest uni friends at law school too. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to subscribe. So visual and active learning, what does that mean? In the movie, we see so many times when Elle Woods is using colourful flashcards to help her study. She uses lots of fluffy pens. She uses a ton of highlighters. She even uses scents on her resumes. When studying, Elle uses her creativity for sensory recall. Now, for me, this was a bit more difficult to replicate. My degree was entirely online, apart from the in-person studying element, but all my notes were online. And so I tried to be more creative with my online notes. I color-coded my modules. This was helpful when I was studying sometimes 4 modules at the same time and very quickly transitioning from reading for criminal law to contract law, which are completely different. Using different colors as borders around my pages helped my brain to instantly recognize that I was learning something different and to switch over. I also used yellow across all of my notes, and I highlighted every key case name, every statute, every author, so that when I was scrolling through my notes, I immediately saw the important parts which were useful for my exam answers as evidence. Practical application. Towards the end of the movie, we see that famous scene when Elle Woods is in court representing a client and she wins the case as a first-year law student.
A gun in her hand to make your story plausible. Isn't that right?
In reality, I hate to break it to you, but that is quite unrealistic. And so it's quite hard to replicate this. So instead, I took baby steps and I tried to get as involved as possible with the whole careers and employability side of university. That meant going to a lot of careers events and attending online sessions or online law fairs or law firm open days. Instead, I got more involved in my law school in a different way. Instead of advising clients, I was a course representative, which meant that I liaised between students and staff to give feedback and make tangible changes in the law school. I still felt pretty important. It wasn't winning a case on a murder trial like Elle Woods, but I still got to be more involved in law school. Finally, probably the most helpful and useful tip I got from Elle Woods was discipline and consistency. Throughout the entire movie, she was trying to prove other people wrong. She's trying to prove to her ex that she is smart, and she's trying to prove to everyone else at Harvard that she deserves to be there.
So you're breaking up with me because I'm too blonde?
And so the overall takeaway for me was not to be put off when the results aren't immediate. For example, in my first year at university, we did a set of mock exams, or actually trying to write out an answer to a legal question, which didn't count, but I did quite badly in those. I got a lot of 2-2s, which I wasn't pleased with as someone who was used to getting high grades at A-levels. Suddenly getting lower grades at university really hit me hard. Instead of feeling down and worrying whether I'd even chosen the right degree, I reminded myself what I enjoyed about studying law, and most importantly, my end goal, which was practicing law as a solicitor. I got help from staff by attending office hours. I increased my study workload. As a result, I got a 70 overall in my first year studying law at university. A 70 is a first class, and this was one of the highest grades in my year. So overall, studying like Elle Woods for a year really paid off. Truly embodying her consistency and her discipline, it meant that I wasn't put off or disappointed by small setbacks, like my lower grades or getting answers wrong initially in front of a whole group of people. Instead, I just pushed through even harder to prove that I deserved my spot at law school, and I hope you do the same. Comment down below if you'd like a more detailed video on everything I did to get a 70 overall in my first year studying law, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!